You talk to me like that. What makes you so much better than me? What do you do? You do drugs and you kill people? Oh, that's wonderful, Tom. Real contribution to human history.
Go ahead. So tell everybody. Come on.
You want a kid?
Tell the world.
What kind of a father do you think you are?
You're actually looking away during. Is it hard for you to watch?
Yeah.
Do you watch your own movies?
Usually once.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So after all, that was.
Just I think, so I know what everyone's talking about and.
That's
whether
really,
or not I should do any press.
So, is that right?
Yeah.
You decide after you watch the movie.
Pretty much, that's it, yeah.
Is it fair to say that movie in some ways put you on the map? I mean, that's how it was described.
It sort of altered the course of the map that I was on, I guess. I would say that probably Grease 2 put me on the map. That was a different map. I think, you know, obviously doing Scarface and starring opposite Al Pacino gave me, you know, people took me a little more seriously, tiny bit.
I love the movie.
Thank you.
Tell me about the screen test with Al Pacino. I understand there's a funny story about that.
Yes, I made him bleed.
You made him bleed. Literally, we're talking about.
Yeah. It was a grueling auditioning process, and I won't bore you with the details of that. But and they had actually dismissed me at some point and said it's not going to work for you. And then they called me months later and said they wanted to test me, and I thought, oh, do this again. Anyway, so I did it, and it was the scene you just showed, and you know, it just was one of those things where it just sort of happened and cut, and there was blood everywhere, and they would come over and they were looking and they were checking me. They couldn't find any cuts, and then they looked over at Al and it was him. I had broken dishes and obviously some glass had flown his way, and I was, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I cut Al Pacino. Anyway, I think it actually endeared me to him. I think actually he liked me after that.
The Dominic Dunne had this to say after the performance. He said that you were on the verge of stardom, and he said you were hot. That's how Dominic Dunne described it. You know, I'm always curious. Did you feel hot? I mean, how does one feel when something like that's written about them?
Did I feel hot? No, actually, I was hungry. I was playing a coke addict, and I couldn't eat. And by the end of it, and it went long. You know, it was supposed to be probably a 4-month shoot, and it stretched out to 6 months. And I was really hungry by the end of it. So no, I probably I wasn't feeling hot. I was feeling hungry.
Well, just the self-esteem of somebody who, you know, you're in the movies. You're obviously, a lot of people are getting to know you now. Dominic Dunne is writing these sorts of things about you. What's going on in your own mind? How are you dealing with all this at that time?
I think it was a lot for me. I think it was overwhelming at the time. I don't think I fully understood what was happening. I was away, and actually I of course didn't like my performance because I never do, and I did get good reviews, and I remember seeing Al after that, saying to Al, I don't get it, you know, and he's like,
That was his take.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't either.
This is Hollywood, I guess.
Yeah.
Are there performances that you've had? Because I know you said there's performances where you thought you were quite great and the critics didn't think so, and vice versa.
Yeah, I always get it wrong. Yeah. See, I don't. I like scenes. I like sort of. You know, scenes within a film. I don't think I ever really like one whole performance. Some performances make me cringe less than others. That's about as good as it gets. I just can't watch myself, and I'm not alone. I think there are a lot of performers who are that way.
It's interesting. You literally turned away as we were playing that
yeah, I mean, in that movie in particular, you know, as I was young, you know, and I just feel like, oh, I'm just screaching in the scene, and I just can't bear to listen to it.
I want to take another look at a clip here from Fabulous Baker.
What are you going to torture me with now?
No, look, you know, and I don't mean to torture you, but Fabulous Baker Boys, you sang.
I did.
And it was, people remember this movie well. Let's take a quick look at it.
Picture that same sweet loneliness.
In that film, Roger Ebert compared you to Marilyn Monroe. In fact,
did?
Did,
I didn't read any of this.
Is that right? And that's another thing.
Either that or I just don't remember.
You don't read reviews and you only watch your movies once.
I read some. I read a couple that come my way, and then after one or two really scathing ones, I stop.
Is that
because they're never all good? You know, I mean, there's some good ones and some bad ones, and you know, if you believe the good ones, you have to believe the bad ones too. So.
It's tough. Is it something that weighs on you at all, or do you? I mean, how much of your time do you spend thinking?
Not so much.
Yeah. There were several roles that you reportedly turned down. I have a list here. The lead in Pretty Women went to Julia Roberts, who got an Oscar nomination. Lead in Silence of the Lambs went to Jodie Foster, won the Oscar. Sharon Stone's role in Basic Instinct. Susan Sarandon's role in Thelma and Louise. Those were all offered to you.
Correct.
Any regrets about not taking those?
No, not that I wouldn't have liked to have been in them, because I would have. They're all fantastic parts and great films. But, you know, sometimes you choose not to do something not because you don't want to do it. I mean, there are sort of extenuating circumstances that, you know, there are bigger priorities, other priorities at the time. There might be another film that you'd been attached to for a long time that you've been trying to get made, and it's finally getting made. And so it's you know, it isn't usually because you simply don't want to do it.
At that point, were you worried about being typecast or pigeonholed in any way?
Early on, I probably was, but I mean that changed pretty quickly. I think really by the time I did Scarface, and then probably, you know, Married to the Mob, and which is, you know, it was pretty early on. I stopped worrying about that.
You know, another movie, Up Close and Personal. I want to show a clip, and I'm wondering if I can get just. I know you hate watching your own movies, but if I can get just a one-word sort of reaction when you watch something like this.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Take a quick look.
Get ready to wrap it up, guys.
Is that a pilgrimage to El Norte that began in Barranquilla, Colombia, spelled death today for Raul Soda and Domingo Katz. This is Tally Atwater on Miami Beach.
Yes. Girls got chops.
All I can think about is how handsome Robert Redford is.
Robert Redford, handsome.
Handsome.
You were pretty great in that movie, and part of the reason that we played that was because there's journalists in this building who in part their careers were started because they watched that movie and they decided they want to be a journalist. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. There's something else. My wife and I just celebrated our 8th year wedding anniversary. So when we come back after the break, I want to talk to you about